the sort of foundation of on which Engage Flows was built is the drawbacks that we saw, limitations that we saw when it came to outbound campaign. Uh, Primarily two major limitations or two major things that you were not able to do in outbound campaign that you'll be able to do with Engage Flows. I'll get to these two things now. But even before we get into that, right? If you look at the entire sort of interface, we have an empty canvas. We have certain entry rules, as we call it, or let's say the start node. Basically, the idea over here is the way in outbound campaign, it is just single channel, right? You can go to your outbound campaign page. If I even open it right now, and if you click on create campaign, you go to these 3-4 steps. The idea is you select the template, you select your channel, you schedule when you want to send a campaign, and then you publish it, right? So it is not omni-channel. That is one thing that is different in Flows. We wanted to have a tool wherein customers, or let's say even our internal delivery folks, will be able to schedule campaigns which are not single channel, which are omni-channel. Second one is one another other limitation that we had with outbound campaign was that uh, campaign analysis, right? Let's say if you send a campaign on WhatsApp to, let's say, 1,000 folks, in the end you see, okay, maybe out of 1,000 the message was delivered to 800 people. Let's say 600 people read your message, and so on. So right, 200 people, let's say, clicked your message. Now, when it comes to these campaigns, primarily, let's say even marketing campaigns, your communication, or let's say the brand's communication, does not really end with just one message. So you would need to, let's say, follow up with the customers who are either engaging with your message or not engaging with your message with some other content to drive them towards conversion, right? Now, how you want to interact with these people again depends on, let's say, how they have interacted with the first message. Correct? If, let's say, someone has clicked your message, maybe that shows that they, are showing a higher level of engagement. So you may want to follow up with them versus someone, let's say, if the message itself was not delivered on WhatsApp, maybe you may want to try on WhatsApp again, or let's say some other channel. In outbound campaign, doing this was a very tedious task. If, let's say, a campaign is over, you would have to download the campaign report, maybe then look at the users to whom the message was not delivered, or let's say the users who replied to your message and so on. You create a segment of these users, and then maybe you follow up with the outbound campaign again. All of these are different aspects that we have eliminated with Engage Flows. I'll walk through the product now. So as I mentioned, the entire interface that we have for Engage Flows is a canvas, right? We have such interface in Studio as well. I think having said that, we see that we have, let's say, 3 or 4 entry rules over here. If I have to describe, or let's say divide campaigns, I think we can talk about primarily 2 major buckets. First one being, let's say, you have a segment campaign, right? What I mean by segment is, I know that I have a segment of, let's say, 100,000 users, and I want to reach out to these users maybe, on Independence Day, right? Or maybe on Holi, or maybe Diwali, whatever the matter, whatever the occasion be. I know I have a segment, and I know when I want to reach out to these users. For that, we have the user present in segment campaign, right? We already have a static list that we can create in User 360 in Engage. As you can see, you will be able to select the segment that you want to reach out to, or you can select all users as well. You know when you want to run this campaign, either once or multiple times. I'll get to multiple times later. You can select it. You can select the time as well, right? So if I select, let's say, 17th on 16:18 p.m., right? So what it means is today, at 4:18 p.m., all the users which are part of, let's say, this number test 3 segment, they will enter the flow, right? Pretty straightforward user present in segment. This is similar to what we have in outbound, where you also select time, and then you also select the segment that you want to target. Second set over here is user events based, right? Maybe I'll explain with an example. When we talk about user events based campaign, we do not have a static list that we want to reach out to. The idea over here is, if someone does X, then let's say you do X, Y, Z, etc. This is what we mean by user events here. one example over here is you may want to reach out to all the users who, let's say, added an item to their cart, right? So that is an event. We have our events API that they can integrate, that a customer can integrate with their system to send events to us. So user events campaign talks about that. User events trigger the flow when an event occurs. So campaign triggers when user does XYZ, right? So if they have a if they have already created the events in the Event Hub in Studio, it will show up here. Whenever that event happens, you can select, okay, let's say the event has happened, campaign should trigger immediately, or maybe if you want to add a delay, you can add a delay as well. For instance, wait for half an hour after someone signs up on your newsletter to send them a welcome email, right? Or you can say, okay, you allow them to enter the flow immediately. When we talk about campaign frequency and duration, this is where it differs with the segment one, right? At the user presented segment, we only had one time. That is, okay, I want to send this campaign on May 17 at 4:18 p.m. But since, okay, so now when we talk about events, right? Event can have its own payload, correct? If there is a particular, let's say, key in the payload, which is of date time, we can use that for this delay. I'll maybe explain with an example. We built this feature because a client had requested it. You guys, all of you guys have traveled via, let's say, uh, flights or even trains for that matter. Let's say I have a flight at, maybe 9 p.m. today. Now, maybe what these airlines typically do is 2 or 3 hours before that, at least in India, they would send you a message saying that, okay, your check-in, web check-in has started. But 2 days before the actual flight, your web checking has started. Maybe 3 hours before your flight, they will say, okay, just reminding you that, your whatever, your gate number is so and so. So the event that, let's say we talk about the event that we talk about here is flight booked. In that event, in the event payload, if you have a key for departure time, you can select that, okay, you send it 2 hours before, and you can just, type the key value here. That is event name dot departure time. So what the flow will do is it will take that value. And then for every user, wherever the departure time is, whatever you configure here, the user will enter the flow at that time. So for me, if it is 9 p.m., I'll enter the flow at 7 p.m. For you, if it is 10 a.m., you'll enter the flow at 8 a.m. Another configuration over here is at specific time. So over here, you can select a time here. I'll talk about this after I talk about the campaign frequency and duration. So yeah, as I was saying, as we saw in the earlier configuration that is present in segment, you only have one time because you have a list of users and you want to say, okay, you target these users on 17th May at 5 p.m., right? But for event-based campaign, that is not the case. Since you're listening to an event, you have start as well as end. So if you continue with the airplane example, right? Maybe you want to run a promotional campaign for whoever books a flight in the month of May. What you can do is you run this campaign once per user or every time this event happens, and you select the time. Let's say we are saying from 17th May until 31st May, right? So what this means is, I mean, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. If we receive this event, let's say ticket booked, only between these duration, the user will enter the flow. If someone does this ticket booking activity, we have start and end time. If someone does this activity, that is, let's say ticket booking on 2nd June, right? They will not enter the flow. It is as self-explanatory as that. Whatever duration you have put up here between start and end, if that event occurs in that duration, only then they will proceed ahead in the flow. If not, they will not proceed. Similarly, the other two entry points that we have, those also are event based only. So user entered a segment. The idea is, let's say, if you want to run a campaign for every user who we'll talk about Spotify, since that is something that everybody will be aware of. Maybe, Spotify has free plan as well as premium plan, right? If someone enters premium plan, maybe you want to send them a welcome message or send them a message talking about the features of premium, right? On our platform, what can be done is you may have two segments. One is free trial users, another one is premium users, right? what you'll do over here is user entered a segment. So that, let's assume A2 is premium. If I say user entered A2, you start a campaign immediately. Similar to what we saw in events, right? You will have a start and end date. So if I select maybe May 17th to May 31st, every user who enters A2 segment or premium segment, they will enter the flow. If they enter this outside of this duration, they will not enter this campaign. They will enter the segment, but they will not enter this campaign. If it is within, they'll enter the campaign. Entry points pretty straightforward. As I said, just to sort of quickly summarize, you can have your static segment that you want to reach out on a specific time, or you can have your event based or entered into segment, which is also an event technically, wherein you'll have a time frame. If that event or activity happens in the time frame, they'll enter the flow. Now moving on to the other nodes, right? I'll also in between move to actual live cases, live campaigns, which are live currently for certain customers of ours. I'll just showcase how exactly, Engage Flows is also being used right now. Primarily, we have 4 different groups of nodes in Engage Flows. Again, if you go through them, they are pretty self-explanatory. Maybe you might also find similar flows in Studio as well. These are condition nodes, so flow control nodes, message nodes, and action nodes, right? I'll maybe start with message node. The very first point that we discussed, Engage Flows for user event-based trigger. Let's say we want to send 3 messages to all the users during that event. We will need to use the 3 cascaded nodes with different delays. Yes, we can do that. If a particular event happens and if you want to send more than one message, we'll be able to do that. I'll maybe explain that now also with message nodes. So yeah, as I was saying, with message nodes, Engage Flows is omni-channel, right? So you'll be able to see that we have WhatsApp, SMS, email, few other channels as well, MS Teams, voice, etc. And in a single campaign, you will be able to use all of these message nodes, whichever ones you have configured. Maybe I'll start with an example of this one only, where if someone adds an item to the cart, and you may want to reach out to them with a thank you message or something like that. So having a particular channel in the flow is as simple as just dragging it. If you drag that channel, you'll be able to connect it to any particular node. Again, pretty standard flowchart behavior. Nothing, we're not changing anything here. If you go on a particular node, you'll be able to complete a configuration. I'm assuming all of you guys have already used outbound campaigns. So the configuration that is there for channels here is no different than one we have in outbound. For instance, for SMS, you can select from which profile you want to send a message. 2 is the column where you're storing the phone number. Templates that you create in the template manager, you can select a template. If any particular template has variable, you will be able to map those variables, right? You can map it to a user property, or you can have a static text, or also event property. As I mentioned, we have event-based campaigns. So for the ticket booking example, again, if you say that event payload could have my name, I can just, you can use event property, and I can write whatever, event name dot name. So it will pick up the actual name for every user. That is pretty much it. One thing that I'd like to highlight here, maybe with regards to WhatsApp, since that is a common channel that we see across campaigns. Yeah, so if we have WhatsApp, right, depending on the level of engagement that a channel provides, we have different sort of exit branches here. So for SMS, you don't really know whether the SMS was read or not. You only have delivered or not delivered. So there is no real scope for any particular user to engage with your message, right? You send a message, the provider will tell us whether the message was delivered to the user or not. And on the basis of that, this count will get updated. That is not the case for WhatsApp, right? For WhatsApp, there are certain levels of engagement that are possible. As we can see here, it starts with not delivered. The message could be delivered. If you have read receipt on and you read the message, WhatsApp will also provide us with the read receipts. If you reply, or let's say that could be a free text reply, or it could also be a quick reply button that you click, we will get those events as well. Now, there is one new sort of different activity that you can see here, that is add wait up to, which is not there in SMS. I'll explain what wait up to is, right? I can provide a duration here, let's say 8 hours, or I can also have timestamp. I can also have immediately here. So 8 hours. What I mean by 8 hours over here is, uh, as I said, for WhatsApp, let's say you receive the message today at 5 p.m., right? Now, we cannot really assume, by we, I mean the business cannot really assume that if I have sent the message at 5 p.m. today, you will immediately read the message at, let's say, 5 p.m., right? Not everybody is available to sort of check these messages, more so the business messages immediately. So you can provide a time for which you want to stop at this particular. Here we have said 8 hours. So the message, let's say, gets delivered to you at whatever. If there are 100,000 users, not everybody will obviously get message at 5 p.m. At 5 p.m. it will start, and then on the basis of the API rate, limiting rate, users will start getting message. Let's say I got the message at 5 p.m. It will wait for me to engage the message up to 8 hours. So 5 plus 8, that is 1 a.m. in the night, right? It will wait till 1 a.m. for me to see if I read the message, replied, or clicked. If the message was sent to me, it is already delivered, right? I'm at the delivered stage until 1 a.m. If I do any of the activity, well and good. If not, then at 1 a.m. I will move ahead in the delivered branch. You can have some other node connected here. If let's say I have a voice call connected at 1 a.m. Again, not a practical example. Of course, you would not want to call at 1 a.m. But yeah, just for demonstration purpose, I've connected a node here. Then it will go ahead. Let's say if I have a email notification here, right? Which is connected to maybe clicked or read, right? And for not delivered, maybe I have one more SMS, correct? So again, what this means is you get the message until 8 hours, we will wait. We will see if you are engaging. If let's say my internet was off only from 5 p.m. till let's say 1 a.m., I will be at not delivered branch. And then at 1 a.m., I will move ahead in this SMS node. If let's say my internet was on, that is the message got delivered, but I did not read or reply, I will move ahead at 1 a.m. to voice. Now, let's say I got the notification at 5 and I clicked on some button at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., etc. At this stage, I'll still wait 8 hours, because what we have seen on the basis of feedback is that this provides some kind of visibility in the duration of the flow. So if someone, let's say, engages with your message before this maximum time, earlier we were sending them immediately ahead, but then what this caused is, businesses did not really have visibility in when the next message will go. So they wanted us to still wait that, okay, if I read the message at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., it's fine. I'll still move ahead in the next branch at 1 a.m., but I'll move in those respective branches. I'll not move in the bottom one. There's this concept of wait up to clear that we have in the notes. We only have it for those channels where, this engagement is possible. For instance, for WhatsApp and for email, where you can do all these activities. For voice, it is not possible, right? You cannot hold a call till 8 hours. If the call rings, 30 seconds you pick up, you don't pick up, you will move ahead. For SMS also, the message is delivered or not delivered. That is pretty much it. You cannot reply to the message. So here we do not have wait up to configuration, but for WhatsApp and for email and for other channels also, push notification, etc., we do have wait up to. We also have flow control. Again, let's say, again, we start with this WhatsApp node. Maybe I want to send this WhatsApp message to everyone for whom the SMS was delivered. After that, as I said, we reached at this stage at 1 a.m. Maybe I want to, not send the next notification at 1 a.m. I can delete this branch. I can wait for a particular duration. It could be hours. I can wait for, let's say, 10 hours. And then after that, you connect it to a node, right? So it's 1 a.m. here. After 10 hours, we wait. It will go to 11 a.m. the next day. So this is the idea. We also have wait until timestamp. Wait until timestamp is you can select a time, right? Maybe let's say if I select, okay, this also I'll explain. For wait until timestamp, right? We only have time here. We do not have date. One reason why we do not have date is, let's say you can use this node anywhere, right? Anywhere in the between. And the way we have seen flows being built, they span multiple days. This was one of the I would say advantages that we discussed over outbound, that it is not just single channel message, that is one single message node that's executed over 2, 3 hours. It can span over multiple days because, as we saw, you want to retarget your users again and again to increase the chance of conversion. Now, wait until timestamp over here takes care of that exactly. Let's say, so wait until timestamp. Let's say it is 3 p.m. here. What I mean by this is, I'll maybe connect this here to this node. I have 3 p.m. here. If a particular user enters this node at maybe 11 a.m. today, what will happen is the user will proceed ahead on 3 p.m. that day itself. If but let's say there are certain users who reach this node at maybe 5 p.m. today. Since it is past 3 p.m., we will wait for the next possible 3 p.m. that is next tomorrow 3 p.m. and then the user will move ahead. Why this is done is there are brands who maybe want to send out their communication every day, let's say 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. whatever, right? So if someone reaches that node before 11 a.m. that day, well and good. You move them ahead on 11 a.m. that day only. But if they reach after the time that you have specified here, you wait for the next possible 3 p.m. or 11 a.m. whatever, and then you move them ahead. Okay. This is for absolute time. This is for relative. So whenever someone enters, you add 10 to that, and then you move ahead. We also have end flow. And yeah, it's an optional node. If you want to just tidy up things, you can have an end flow node drag, and you can just connect the nodes there. There is nothing more to do. Business hours, which are similar to what we have in outbound. So if you have set up, let's say, business hours on specific days between time 9 to 6, 9 to 6, 9 to 6, the flow automatically will pause at 6 p.m. You do not have to manually pause the flow. At 6 p.m., no notifications will go. On the next day, you will, the notifications will proceed ahead. You can, at each particular node, you can set up, enable the business hours. Talking about condition nodes, right? Again, pretty straightforward condition nodes that we have. Again, so these are few of the flows that are currently also running for lending cart as well. One of our customers which uses flows across all the three channels, right? We have WhatsApp, SMS, and voice as well. So the condition nodes that we saw, right? You will be able to, again, split it into two different ways. If I have to talk about this example here, they have certain people for whom the due date is in the next 7 days. You first, there is an update user property node, action nodes, maybe we can cover that. But again, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to update a certain property, let's say before or after the message is being sent, you can use update property node to select the property which you want to update and the value that you want. Here they are updating, let's say, campaign type property. You'll see the users who are entering here. Is in segment check, essentially, as again, as the name itself defines it, it will check every user who enters this node. We will check if they are part of this pre-due T segment or not. If they are, they'll move ahead in the yes branch. If no, they'll move ahead in the no branch. On the basis of this, you can define the message that you want to send, right? Here, as you see, they are sending a different message to people who are part of this pre-due bot T. If they are not, they have a different welcome message. You will be able to see the real-time data analysis as well of how users engage with this message. It was delivered out of 86%, the message was delivered to those, only 46% read, so on. And as we saw for the message nodes, you will be able to define different journeys for every engagement. Here, I believe they are not doing that. Every engagement goes to, let's say, value check only, which we saw earlier as well. You can check for a particular user property. Here they are looking for payment status. The use case is for EMI loan reminder. We'll check if they have paid or not. If they have, you take other steps. If no, you can maybe send payment link, etc. So as we saw, we have WhatsApp nodes here. We have certain condition nodes here. We have voice as well. For voice, these are the different states. In India, answering machine is not that prevalent, but we do support that as well for other regions. If there is answering machine that the end user has in their phone, we can detect it. And then on the basis of that, if you want to have a separate journey, you can do that. Or the rest of the pretty standard statuses that you already have. We have answered, busy, not answered, or failed. After that, they want to wait for, let's say, 4 hours. Everybody enters here. we wait for 4 hours, and then they move ahead. Similarly, so as you can see, this flow itself has like more than 10 different message nodes. You will be able to do that. You'll be able to devise that for your customer. The customer themselves can also come to the platform to do it. Uh, if they, if let's say we provide them with a very short KT, we also have docs as well on the platform which they can refer to. But on the basis of that, you'll be able to define the use case exactly as the customer wants it. For lending card, I believe, as per the customer strategy, they only want to call someone at 12 p.m. at 4 p.m., right? So the way they do not want to start calling at 9 a.m. to remind them payment. So the flow also it is that way. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The flow just proceeds ahead on the basis of whether they are paid or not, and whether they have received a previous reminder or not. We move ahead, and then the flow ends. You will be able to look at the analysis as well of for each of the channel, what was the engagement rate like. You will also be able to look at the report. So again, you have notification report as well in Insights. Maybe I'll go there too. So we have notification report, which will give you information about all the channels in a particular flow. If you want, you can filter with a specific campaign ID. The campaign ID you get from the UI, or you can also use campaign name. You can filter where campaign name is, and then for that particular campaign, you can look at the engagement that was like for different channels. I mean, yeah, I don't think I have to give a KT or notification report, but yeah, you'll be able to identify by source. You'll be able to look at the status, can do all the activities that you do with any table. For calls also, we have voice here, but if you want more granular data, you can go to call details report as well, CDR, which is only for voice. Then you can look at whether the call was answered, not answered, etc. for a particular campaign ID. API node. So if you have an API that you have defined in the API management, you'll be able to see that here. The interface is similar to what we have in Studio as well. You can select the API if you want some pre-processor or post-processor, that is request or response processor function. You can select that. And then you can store that in a particular variable. So Engage also has variables, not as advanced as the ones in Studio, but you'll be able to store certain variable values. Let's say for API, if you have a JSON response body, you can store that JSON body, and then you can use it, let's say in a particular template somewhere for any particular variable. Opt-in check also we have, since I think most of you guys will be pretty familiar that WhatsApp has now sort of made their rules more stringent with regards to reaching out to users only if they've opted in. So you can choose that if you have WhatsApp here. There is a user 360 property that is WhatsApp opt-in, which you can update as true or false. If that value is true, that means someone has opted in. Then maybe for the yes branch, you can connect them to WhatsApp node. If the value is false, for no, you can maybe connect it to SMS. That is again recommended approach. Not a lot of brands follow it now, because of which message also, that template also gets disabled more frequently. But yeah, this node essentially takes care of that.
Hello and welcome to the demo of our conversational commerce cloud platform. So today we are going to do it for the use case for a collections process, where we are going to showcase how we can run a soft communication with our customers. So across the collection stages, we can run any number of campaigns across each stages. So for the sake of today's demo, we are going to showcase how, for example, a soft communication with the customers can be run. So this is our flows module where we have created the outbound omnichannel campaign for our soft bucket payment reminders. So here in this is our canvas where we have created the campaign. So the campaign starts with a user event, user entry rule. That can be a user event based on which a workflow can start, or can be for segment also. So we have started this particular outbound campaign for people who are present in a segment. So by clicking this, you can configure the segment for which we want to run the campaign for. For here, our segment is for a soft payment reminder customers, and we can configure the start time when we would want to run the campaign. For the sake of this demo, we are doing it for now. And the campaign would be immediately run when we click on publish. So After configuring our segment to which we want to run the campaign for, there are multiple things we can do. So first thing we are doing is we are doing an opt-in check for WhatsApp, because if the customer has not provided their consent to be contacted on WhatsApp after receiving the message, they can mark it as a spam. So here we have added this opt-in checker so that the message on WhatsApp is only received to those who have opted in. So this is a feature that can be used. So then we have connected the WhatsApp node to people who have opted in, and here by clicking on configure, we can easily configure it, selecting the number from which we want to send the WhatsApp. Let's say we have selected the number to the phone number of our users that is stored in our CDP, and then the template that has in it multiple variables which can be linked to our user 360 property so that they make it dynamic and personalized for our users. We can link it to the different properties we have in our user 360 and then configure it accordingly. And these templates, they are created in our template manager, which are auto approved by Meta. So now after setting up our WhatsApp configuration, we can also select the wait time, for which we want to give the amount of time we want to give the users to see the message and to complete their action, in this case, which is a payment. So we are giving them 24-hour window to complete it. Only after 24 hours, the next node will get activated. So for people who have not opted in for WhatsApp, they are sent an SMS, similarly configured by clicking here. And then based on the same, for people who got the SMS, we are waiting for a 24-hour duration until the next node can start. So then the next node is an event check, where we are checking if the customer has completed the payment or not. For people who have completed the payment, we are ending the flow there. And for people who have not completed the payment, we are now going to follow up with them on the same channel as previous, as in WhatsApp can also be utilized, or we are going to utilize a different channel, let's say an email in this case. So similarly, like WhatsApp, clicking here, we can configure from which email ID we want to send the email to the email. Then also the template, again linking our dynamic variables in the email to make it personalized. Similarly, we are again giving them a 24-hour window to interact with our email and to complete their payment. And then once they have interacted with the email, after 24-hour window, we are checking if the payment has been completed. For people who have completed, we are ending the flow there. For people who have not completed the payment, we are following up them with a voice bot call this time. And for people who did not interact with our message, we are going to send the voice call to them also. Similarly, clicking here, configuring the voice call also to select the voice bot flow that we want to run, from which IVR numbers we would want to run to the phone numbers. Now our voice call would end up with a payment link sent to them via their WhatsApp. So this is how the entire flow is made, and this is very simple and intuitive, which even business users can easily make. It is only a drag drop functionality that can be utilized here. So now we would like to see how this works in action. By clicking on publish, our campaign would start. So we have received our first outbound message as we scheduled it for WhatsApp. And here, as we can see, the message has the dynamic variables that we added. For example, saluting with the first name, and then talking about that the EMI for the education loan, then the loan number also added from our user 360 module, mounting to the amount that is due and the due date also. And this also has a CTA button which can directly take to the payment. So since we engaged with the WhatsApp message where we read that message, so post that we have received the email. Since the payment has not been done yet, so we have received the email with the payment reminder template, where here again we have tagged the dynamic variables and the email is configured utilizing them. And here also we have a CTA button with complete payment. So the email templates can easily be created with the HTML format, where we can directly paste our HTML code in our template manager, and such interactive CTA based emails can be created. Accordingly, clicking on the link, the the user will be taken to the payment portal and where they can complete their payment.
Hi, I am calling from Yellow Bank. This is to remind you that your EMI for your education loan with loan number 3655442 is due by 10th June. Would you like to complete your payment?
Yes, I would like to complete my payment.
Thank you for your time. We will send a payment link to your WhatsApp account shortly. Have a nice day.
So now we have received our voice call also after the email. Once it checked that again the payment has not been completed, so the voice call got triggered. And accordingly, now we have also received the WhatsApp link for the payment. So here, as we can see, we have received our WhatsApp link after our voice call that talks about that thank you for interacting with us, and now we can complete the payment by clicking on the link again, and it would take us to the payment page. So this is a dummy link that we have set up currently. So accordingly, the payment link can be set up in that link. To summarize, our platform is capable with orchestrating omni-channel collections across different channels, be it WhatsApp, RCS, SMS, Google Messages, iMessage, VoiceBot, even connecting with human agent calls, emails, and other channels that brands would like to use for their collections campaigns. And our focus is mostly to move the metrics for collection campaigns, being it the response rate, conversion rate, and other metrics. Thank you.